Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the It Factor show. Today is a very, very special episode, and it's always extra special when I bring on my once boyfriend, now fiance, Jake Havron. Welcome to the show.
Well, that is an intro I could get used to.
Oh my goodness.
It's still fresh.
It's so fresh, a few months fresh, and we decided to do this intimate episode, keeping up with because there's been a lot of questions coming in, wondering how we got engaged and wondering what's going on in our life. And, every now and again, I think we're just due for a refresh.
Well, it's time. And for those listening to audio, I'm over here next to this beautiful queen, and I'm excited to discuss this.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
We had so many people literally asking the story. Because I was, they saw the video. If you haven't seen the video on our Instagram, you got to go see the proposal video. But they saw it, and then they were hearing a little bit about the whole backstory of how it led up to that.
Yes. And so we're going to dive into this really sweet, special story. But before we do, I am just interested, coming from a man's mind, what made you feel like you were ready to propose? Ooh. And why? He proposed on my birthday, which is June 1st. Yeah, so why though? Why?
Well, that's a loaded question. So you already know this. When I first met you, it was very, that's a whole nother discussion how we met. But it's when I met you, it wasn't like I was looking at another woman in the way that I had before. It was she's the full package. And it was before I even knew the depths of your soul and all that way. But I call it the triad. You had the beauty, the success, but also you loved Jesus, and it was very upfront. It wasn't you hid that in the back. So I was
success mindset.
Yeah. You had that type of ability that you can stay up with what I was wanting to create, and you were already way ahead of me in that way. So I had that, but then I was so we started to date, and we went from 0 to 1 million, and
we fell in love right away. Truly. And for those of you that don't know our Genesis story.
And don't ask her who dropped the L-bomb first, because she might blush a little on that. But I love that, because I wasn't going to drop it first. I didn't want to be that kid. Oh my goodness. So.
No, let me just share, just to back up the train for our newer listeners. We met a month basically
right before the
COVID.
Whole lockdown.
Yeah.
February 2020. Yeah,
and January 1st is when I wrote him into existence and prophesied him into existence, and really wrote out what I wanted in a man.
And I saw the list, and it was pretty cool.
The Lord delivered a month later, but I wasn't I was ready, but I still had to work through a lot of things, and it was just unlike anything else when I met you. It was my whole nervous system just completely shifted, and I never felt that before. So I'll let you go on.
Well, that's a powerful message right there, and we'll get into the proposal. But we had to work through that together. Mm-hmm. There was things that maybe would have never been worked through by yourself. And so that actually just literally hit me as we had to be together. God had to orchestrate us together to go through those tough situations and the strongholds we both had. But that would have never happened or even been possible if it wasn't for us. So even though it was tough, and we were oh man, that was a tough season in our life, that was meant to happen.
And, I think we should elaborate on what was tough. Because, and this is just the truth, sometimes we find love and we find our partner and it's everything we thought. And but why I think people escape right away is when there's a little bit of resistance. We're in this escapism culture where it's oh, he checks all the boxes, but. Well,
do you remember that conversation we had a few weeks in, that FaceTime?
Oh yeah.
Everything was so great, and I was you want to share a little bit about that FaceTime?
Yeah.
I think that'd be special.
Well, for me there was a couple different things, and any of my women can probably relate, or even men, anybody can. It's there's everything isn't perfect. And what is perfect? Perfect is this, it's an illusion. And for me, because I am a few years older than you, I've had more time to do things. And, I came from a group of friends that were like, you should be with someone equally as successful as you are. And, this is why we have to be so careful if we listen to the opinions of other people. Are they living in my life? Are they opening the door when there's, my handsome guy there with roses and, intellectually stimulating me and praying for me and there for me and challenging me and protecting me? And no, they don't see all that. People just see like, you're here and he's there. And even though, like, listen, like, what are we even comparing this to? It's crazy to even think like that, because it's like, you are already successful. It's just society.
To what comparison?
It's just society's so dumb. But I let, people like, are you sure? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, you don't even know my relationship. I see you once a month and you're asking, are you sure? It's so weird. So there was that side of it. Mm-hmm. But then the other side of it was, I was never used to being in my whole life with like somebody so, I don't want to say domineering, because that sounds like controlling, and that's not what you are at all. But authoritative. Like, I was never used to being with a man who was like, I guess we could just say alpha. You're, mm-hmm. you're certain, you're strong, for me, being a very powerful female and a very self-assured female, and, let's just face it, kind of set in my ways, right? Like, having someone come in that was so self-assured and was the protector, and you do what you say, and it was like a whole different, it was like I wanted it, but I was like, I'm not sure I want this. And I think that's a lot of my girlies out there that are powerful women. They retract powerful men. They think they want them, and then when a man tries to lead,
which is what they're meant to do, that's masculine.
We push them away, and so then you get the beta men that eventually you're not attracted to. And so
spot on,
it was kind of freaky for me, because I was like,
you tried pushing me away.
I was like,
multiple times.
I was like, so many times. And I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted my whole life. I've just wanted to be led. In fact, on my list that I wrote at the ocean, number 1 was loves God, because if you love God, I'm not going to have to take care of you as much. Like, I'm still going to have to be there for you, and I want to be there for you, and of course it's part of my role, but I don't want to babysit you. And if you love the Lord, that's a whole nother
you're already serving.
It's a whole way of life when you truly love the Lord. But number 2 was, can lead me, and I allowed to lead me. And like, I think I put in parentheses on my list, like, won't take my BS. And that was you wouldn't take my BS.
Well, it's so beautifully said what you're saying there. And I remember I brought up that FaceTime because that was a pivotal moment in who I was as a man too, because we were like 4 or 5 weeks in, on cloud 9. She dropped the L-bomb on me the first week.
My heart loved you right away. It was...
And it slipped out, and you didn't let it...
I could not even... Honestly, like, I couldn't... It wasn't even conscious. Like, my whole being loved you so early on. Okay. It was like our connection was just beyond. And it was
indescribable.
It makes me cry.
A divine feeling.
Yeah.
And so,
it's like I needed you. I, like, craved you just from our moment. I'm gonna cry.
Well, your soul knew, but your mind was trying to protect you.
This is true. Yeah, isn't that funny?
And so 4 or 5 weeks in, and this is all leading up so you can understand the power of this proposal, because it was a special one. She lived in Santa Monica, I was in Dana Point, and she was kind of
California,
sending me some a very short text, and it was like, what's going on? And so she's like, can you FaceTime? And so I FaceTime with her, and then I start to hear the what ifs and the doubts and all these things, and I'm like, we were literally like, everything was so great. So I'm like, this is coming out of left field, and I just remember, like, I'm FaceTiming her, and she was like, she was basically trying to back out, and it wasn't her, it was those fears because of all you've gone through. But in that time, because I'm so grateful that I learned about mature masculine, mature feminine, and learned how to apply it. Even though if I didn't fully embody it, I knew how to apply it because I was still growing massively myself. But I was like, this is the feminine testing the masculine, even if it's not conscious, if he's going to waver or not. And so in my mind, I'm like, Jake, just be an unshakable pillar. Just be an unshakable pillar. Like, don't move. This is a test. This is for her to see if she could truly trust you, because it's obviously coming up because there's so many great things happening. There's something going on. And so she was like, I think we need to just like have some space or have some time. Like, it's been 4 or 5 weeks. And all I remember saying to you, and I was like, that was like one of the very few times where I was just like tearing up because I was like, what, this is so good.
Oh, sad. I remember this.
Yeah, and I was like, look, there is no plan B with us. I was like, I remember this vividly.
I remember it too.
I said, any other time there would be a plan B. Okay, I guess it's not going to be. I was like, I haven't even thought of a plan B. Like, we're going to find out how to get to this, and this is only plan A. And I just had that certainty with you, and I know that resonated in some way. I don't think there was a full solution. I think you kind of accepted that, but I think deep down, like, it literally showed you that, like, we were committed. And then, there were still ups and downs, and I was growing. I learned how to, I've never been in a long-term relationship. I was no more than 3 months because I was afraid of having a long-term relationship if it wasn't the right woman, and I wanted to be with a godly woman. And so, but I was also like wanting love, but then I was finding love in the wrong ways, and then I would back out of it because I was like, nope, I'm done. So it was this weird oscillation of that. And then when I found you, I was like, there's a lot to learn, especially with a woman of your caliber. So, so we come from that because it all was a constant learning and applying and personal development. When you match that and allow that to supplement your faith, it's such a beautiful thing, because without personal development, I would have lost her. Even if I was the most godly, loving man, like, I still need to be developed in my mind and my body, but my spirit can never be developed personally. That's only through your connection with God. So anyways, I just want to share that.
So much self-awareness. Like, you're so self-aware, which is how you increase your self-awareness is through personal development and understanding who you are.
It was self-awareness, but here's something that I feel like someone needs to hear. It was bold action, like risky action. Like, it was a risk to do and say what I said just as much as you had a risk. So, like, I could be aware. A lot of people are aware nowadays because it's so easy to understand things, but people are afraid to take action. If I didn't take that risky action, and there was many other situations where I like literally put my ego up on the line. I put my ability to feel mass amount of shame if it didn't go the right way up on the line to like take that action, because like there was no plan B with you. So,
I love that. And what really ended up happening for each of us individually, but then as honestly God was working it out because he wanted us to be together, was we couldn't figure it out on our own. And we tried to just be together on our own, which was fun and stimulating, and the highs and the lows. But what I found, Jake, was that when God wasn't the center of our relationship, like,
we thought he was.
He only got us so far, and I didn't realize like the power of love and like true connection until God was the main thing.
And here's the thing: we thought he was, but it wasn't until another godly person in our life close to us. That's why it's so important. If you love God and you follow God, you cannot be a lone wolf, because you're not called to be a lone wolf. Even the scripture will back that. And so we thought that we were caught in our own deception, and it was a good deception. We thought it was, but it wasn't to the level that it should have been, especially with the calling that we have. So one of our close people in our circle that was very godly had a tough conversation with us and gave us a reality check of we need to be closer, and we're not doing certain things we're doing certain things we shouldn't be, and it's affecting our true connection of having God be first. And it hurt at first hearing that. It was abrasive.
It was abrasive, but let me just clarify, because there's so many people listening right now that are like, what do you mean? I'm so confused. And really what this means is we were, I guess, lukewarm Christians. And I'm so careful of how I even say that, because I've always loved God and I've always believed in scripture and in all of that, but I never was devoted. I think it's why I explain in one of my keynotes the difference between just being passionate versus having zeal, because passion comes and goes, but true zeal is commitment and devotion no matter what. And so you go through the stages of delight when you first fall in love, and then you go through difficulty, and that's a lot of how I was living, where it was I wasn't fully committed. I was like, oh, here's the Bible, here's some of the stuff that I should like do, and then the other stuff I'm like, it's in there, but like, and so that's what we mean when we say that, like, we fully committed to growing our faith muscle, and literally, we go to the gym to work out our biceps and our booties and our abs, but we literally are spiritually going to the gym to strengthen our connection to Jesus, which in turn changed our relationship together as a couple. And I'm so grateful for all of it, because if we didn't go through all that, we would not be like as strong as we are today, or have what we even have. Yeah, we made a commitment that there was no turning back, and that basically that God was going to be number one.
Well, we made a commitment like a year ago, which was, really powerful for our relationship, because this was like 2 years in, and now we're up on our third year.
Yeah. To just go all in on our faith. And, we both looked at and asked each other, what kind of people do we want to be? And Jake and I, the most amazing thing about us is we are very, 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 very similar in our
kind of scary similar
drive, and we're very purpose-driven people, and our calling is too great to live a life of compromise. And so, and I'll let you share, but I know for me, like, my calling is bigger than me, and so obedience is like the way to serve at your highest level. And so we were both like individually, it was like, I need to be obedient, and he was like, I need to be obedient, and we want to live our lives on purpose and in service more than anything. And so we individually were at those places, but then together we were like, oh my gosh, we both want the same thing, which is so cool. And at first I was like, I'm being kind of dramatic here, but it's like, I want to live my life this way, and I want to live clean and pure as much as I can. I mean, I still sin. We all do. It's like we're not.
But that was a huge decision, and it took it from both sides, because there was that fear of like, well, are you going to be committed if I'm committed, or what if you like have resistance, and then it's vice versa. But it was to have individually us to make that commitment, come together, which actually was a little like kind of almost an awkward conversation of like, well, I don't want you to have to commit if you don't want to commit, but it's like, no, of course we're both fully committed. And we're planning to get married here soon, which I will be discussing.
So let's talk about that. So we wanted to kind of give you a little bit of like the backstory, the journey with it, so how we led up to this point, and how amazing God is that He just came in and orchestrated the whole thing. But then on June 1st, which again is my birthday, you asked me to marry you. So let's talk about that. Like, so why did you think you were ready? Or like, what made you think you were ready?
Okay. So I know you asked that earlier. So it's good that for everyone to hear how we met, how I knew and for the longest time in our relationship, majority, 85, 90% of the time, I already knew. I was like, this woman's the one. But there was a lot of growing. And so for probably at least almost a year, I'd say 6 to 9 months, I was like, okay, like, I mean, we've been talking about where do we want to get married. She would always plant the idea of right from the get-go about the cliffs of Italy, you know, silk white, everything, looking off the ocean. So I was planting, that was in my head. And I was like, there has to be a surprise. She can't know. I don't want her to know because then it's just not the same. And about 6 months ago, we were just, after a long day, just kind of decompressing, talking, and she was scrolling through on, I think, Pinterest, and you were showing me like different engagement rings. This was before we really even had any sort of conversation about that. I was like, oh, okay, well, let me look into this. So you're showing me all these engagement rings because, you know, I don't want to speak on all guys, but we don't know what your style or what the right or wrong is. And so I'm taking like a mental note on that, but not too much. So she had this one amazing engagement ring that she sent me, and it was just beautiful. I mean, it was massive. It was like basically a ring for a queen. And if you don't know it,
go big or go home.
If you don't know Emily now, by then that's the way.
You know me.
And so nothing happened, but that was the one photo that was there. And it got to a point where it was about a couple weeks before June 1st. I'm constantly thinking, I was like, when is the right time? I wanted to make sure that I could get you the right ring. I didn't want to get you a little puny ring just to get it going. I wanted to make sure it was right. So that was the hold up, trying to find the right dealer. I had people connecting me with different dealers, and it just wasn't lining up. And lo and behold, I'm getting a haircut at the barber shop, and she incredible woman from our church. She moved it into her garage just because just was easier. And I actually got referred to that barber from our pastor. So I've been going there a couple times, and then I go and I find out, she tells me, oh yeah, Pastor Mark's there right after. And I was like, oh cool, he's coming in. So I'm getting a haircut. Pastor Mark, we're sitting in the garage. He then comes in, we're having a conversation, and he's a great friend of ours, so it's easy to conversate. But he's sitting there watching me get a haircut, and out of nowhere, he's just like, hey, by the way, is there any plans for an engagement soon? And he's like poking the bear over. I was like, yeah. He's like, he's like, I'm looking for a ring, and kind of just feeling it out. We're getting busy, the typical things you say. He's like, well, if you're needing a ring, I got a guy. He's the one that got, my wife Rochelle one, and basically I've helped all these people. He'll hook you up. And I was like, I heard a lot of people say that. And I was like, but all right, it's coming through my pastor. Why not? So he gives me the info. I text him. Pastor Mark's like, make sure you get him, the good Pastor Mark deal. I was like, all right. So the next day, I go in and literally go look at the rings. And shout out to you, Happy Jewelers, for helping us with that and just making an incredible experience. And I'm looking at all these rings, and I pull up the image because they're like, what does she want? And I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. And I thought of that image, and I was like, hold on, I'm scrolling through the screenshots. And that's when I saw that ring, and I showed them them. They're like, all right, I think we could do something. And that's, and I could go on and on with the process of how it leads up to that. But, it's just, it wasn't planned to happen June 1st, but you just never know who comes in your life to say the right thing at the right time. And Pastor Mark, because of that, led to me then finding the ring. They set me up with an incredible opportunity, incredible ring. And I was like, this is a reality. And that's when I was like, okay, we have to start actually planning this out because I might have to just do it on her birthday. So.
So, okay, so then you got the ring, which, by the way, I love.
Got the ring.
Yeah, and
I had to drive. It was like an hour drive. It's in Anaheim, which is an hour from us. I had to do it where Emily didn't know where I was going, so it was super low key.
Wow, you played that good. Okay, so you got the ring, and then my birthday's coming up, and we're in a very big building season, building multiple different companies. We have a lot going on, and honestly, for my birthday, I just wanted to rest. I just wanted to lay by the pool. I was so fatigued, and I just needed that break. I hadn't allowed myself a break for a long time, and so all I knew was, pack a bag. We're gonna go away for 2 days. I didn't have a clue. I just knew Hugo's nanny had him. And why don't you elaborate on that a little bit of of that.
Well, you knew you had a birthday surprise, so that was the Trojan horse, right? That was the thing of like, hey, this is what you're gonna see.
Right.
So it actually worked out well. But the entire time for 10 days before, I'm talking with one of her close friends who loves us, and she's helping me plan it all out. And
Shout out to Sarah.
Sarah,
Sarah Robbins.
you're amazing with this wouldn't have happened. So I'm planning this all out, where to do it, what cameraman, how to set it up, what is it? Are we gonna do it down the beach, down the stairs? Like she had all the ins and outs. So we decided to do it at the Waldorf Astoria. Beautiful place right by us.
Not bad. I mean, come on.
It was beautiful. However, it was one of the coldest summers in California ever, and it was gloomy more than it's ever been. And so Emily loves the sun over here. Obviously, she stays out of it, but she loves the light, the warmth. We both felt this. We were feeling the irritability of like, we just want warmth. But if we went to Palm Springs, it wouldn't have worked out because I had all the things set up. So I'm over here. This is where we just got to be real. I'm over here driving her, and I'm like, I knew it was cloudy, but I'm trying to like pre-frame it properly. I'm like, babe, you got to trust the process. I was like, I got some plans that you couldn't even imagine. I don't want to be too obvious.
You did say all this, and I'm over here
I'm planting the seed as we're literally driving probably 10 minutes to the place, and she's over here expecting to go to Palm Springs in the warmth. And I'm like, there's things that you think, I literally said, I was like, you think you'll know what I got in plan, but there's something actually beyond that.
Yeah.
So just trust the process. Yeah. This is your birthday. I got things.
Yeah. So we roll.
So she's like, yeah. And in the moment we roll into the Waldorf, and you see that you love the Waldorf, but you were wanting warmth.
I just wanted to go to the heat, to be straight with you.
Expectation was warm, so when there wasn't warmth, then there was like some resistance. And so I'm now over here.
I sound pretty crazy not wanting to go to the Waldorf.
We know you're not.
But honestly, I just wanted to be warm.
And you listening, you understand like the situation. So, but I'm over here with not just trying to figure out, okay, is she gonna have a good birthday? I'm trying to figure out, is she gonna even have a good proposal? So I'm trying to keep my cool. And I already see it kind of come over her face, like, this is not Palm Springs. Like, just babe, like, we're good. So we check in. I try to get the nice oceanfront room. And we find out that the room is like literally like it was like a basement room.
Well, let me just pause on this for a minute, because you can go to any hotel. You can go to the nicest hotels. But I swear to you, every hotel has like that rogue room. It was the rogue room. That weird room at the end.
Only like 3 images. It's hard to tell.
It was like a basement room.
But it was ocean view. So I thought it was going to be great.
But it was like a sliver of the ocean. And it was like so dark and dingy and basement vibes.
Oh, it was bad. It was a total rogue room.
And I knew how much you invested in it and cared, because it's a suite at a premier hotel. And that's also what broke my heart, because it was just this constant, just like good feelings, bad feelings. But I knew it was a bad room.
Have
you ever been so fatigued where you're like so crabby? It's like nothing can be right, and you're premenstrual. That's how I was. And
you were, yeah. Oh my God!
I was
like a perfect storm.
I was like out of sorts. I just needed, honest to Pete, I just needed to sleep.
And we had a mentorship call like an hour after, so that was putting some like time stress on us.
Oh, it was awful. So
we get to that room. When I walk into, and I saw the happy birthday balloons.
It was cute. You had happy birthday
I know,
balloons.
but it looked like we're in like a motel. Like it was.
Yeah, it was literally Super 8.
So then, just to say lightly, there was a little bit of like just like a mental meltdown in the sense of like, why aren't we in Palm Springs?
Yeah, I cried a little bit.
I'm over here because once again, like I would normally be able to handle that so well, and it's not like it even happens, but because I had things behind the curtain, a whole slew of things that I'm nervous about in some way, it was starting to like really like stack. And so then I was like, I need to go do this mentorship call. I'll figure this out. And then that was a whole thing where I'm trying to do the mentorship call. The Wi-Fi was acting up. So it was just stacking. And it was just like, if this was put in a rom-com, I'll tell you right now, this would be a movie. And so I'm texting Sarah, because Sarah's helping me the entire time, because there's no way I could do this alone. She's in the room, figuring out life for a minute. And I'm texting Sarah. I'm like, Sarah, she's having a meltdown. This is not going as planned. I might just call an audible and we're going to Palm Springs and I'll figure it out because she's not going to be happy if I do a proposal. And so I'm getting in my head and Sarah's like being my cheerleader. She's like, give me a call. So I get on the phone and I'm like, I got 5 minutes. I got to get on my mentorship call.
And she's at like an event.
She's at an event. She's knowing this is happening.
So she's stepping out
and
of this event.
I'm like, Sarah, this is what's happening. She doesn't like it. It's cold. There was like a basement. I'm going to ask for a refund and just go somewhere else. And she's like, you gotta just stay here. She's good. None of this. This is gonna be your greatest story. She was literally giving me the motivational talk. She's like, all of this is gonna make it where, you know what? If it was all perfect, then your kids won't have the memories of these stories. You're gonna share that. And so I was like, oh God, Sarah. Okay. I honestly was like, I was actually still planning to go and get out of there. I was like, Sarah, thank you. Let me go on my call. Like, we'll figure this out. So I do the call. Train on sales when my brain is going 1,000 miles a minute, and it turned out great. And I see all these texts from Sarah after. She's like, hey, I called the front desk. They said they have an upgrade room available. You got to let me know ASAP. It's one left. It's actually the penthouse of this place, and there's one left. And they literally said that it's going to go out any second. You got to let me know. So I'm over here thinking penthouse, but still cold, or Palm Springs and hot. Like, what does she want? What's going to be the most sense? Mind you, I already have a video crew and camera crew ready to go the next day to be there. So I was like, I called up my buddy. You don't know this. I called my buddy who had a connection in Palm Springs. I was like, hey, do you have a camera guy that can be ready for tomorrow? Oh my God. He's like, no, I don't. I was like, shoot. Because if that happened, I would have gone. So I go to the front desk. And this is, once again, just so you could hear, there are always going to be people that are like true blessings that you just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That literally are make or break of the success or failure of whatever it is. And this one was this front desk worker who was way more than a front desk worker. His name's Russell. Shout out to you, Russell. And he's this like, you never see him without a smile. You know, he's in his late 30s, amazing energy. And I'm over here not trying to freak out on him, but saying how we're in a basement. And he's just taking that in and like, just like not giving me any bad energy, but great energy. He's like, yeah, let me see what I could do. Let me help. So a few minutes go by and they tell me about that penthouse. And I was just like, look, I'm ready to take her to Palm Springs. He's like, dude, I was like, I don't know if that penthouse is outdated. He's like, this is the nicest penthouse. Like we have the
this
top
is
of the
where
top.
Presidents and celebs stay when they come.
And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, look at the photos. They're all modern. I was like, I saw the photos at the other place. It didn't look too good. And so I was like, all right, let's just do it. And can you help us move the bags? So I text Emily. I'm like, pack your bags. We're going. And she's like, but I don't want to go. Like, and I was like, no, we're going. And so we had to walk all the way across the other hotel. It was every step, because also she didn't eat because she was intermittent fasting. And we had dinner plans at 7. Every step, because it was a long hallway, was like so just, it was almost like dreadful, because I was like, is she going to like this? What's going to be said?
A little crampy.
You were crampy. You had no food. Your blood sugar was low. It was the perfect storm. I was like, God, is this what happens when you want to make an incredible proposal? So anyways, we go up to the elevator of the next one. And I'm just like, God, just please. I'm like, let her walk in first. Let her see the place. We open it. And right away, she's like, oh, wow. Okay. I mean, okay, I can do this. And that's when I was like, okay, we're on it.
It was like on the top floor and it was bright and it was.
Yeah, we were literally on the bottom floor.
Let's just be real. I would live there. Like, I would seriously.
Oh, it was stunning.
I mean, there was like multiple bathrooms. It was Taj Mahal status.
So that's where I was like, okay, well, at least something's good is going on right now. So we had dinner reservations. Russell already, we were late by 30 minutes. Russell already told them, they're like, no, we got it. Everyone knew that it was a proposal happening besides her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we go get dinner and we sit out at the restaurant there, Bourbon Steak. It's our new favorite spot. And it was just so cool because there was so much tension and resistance. And mind you, all she's thinking about is this is her birthday and it's a failure of a birthday.
Not a failure.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And like, you know, obviously you want it to be the best. And now I'm feeling like a failure in some sense, which my guys, you'll understand that. And but we're sitting down, we got our drinks, beautiful place. I was like, at least the place is amazing.
Oh, it's good.
And I just remember us just having that conversation of like, you know what? Let's flip the script. Like we're here, it's beautiful. Yeah. We got a penthouse, but it was coming from you, and I was like, okay, I felt the energy shift.
Oh yeah, I ate, so I was feeling better.
She needed some food too.
Yeah. And
so
so then we had like a magical night.
Incredible night. Everything flipped from there. But that amount of tension up to that point, like almost like made me collapse from the inside.
Were you thinking at all, oh, maybe I'll do the proposal at a different time? Did that ever cross your mind?
It did cross my mind. And I was like, oh, maybe I could just do it in Palm Springs and find a photographer or something. Or
but
maybe
during the weekend, were you like, oh, this is just ain't right? Like maybe.
Well, no, because everything was working up to the point we got to the Waldorf. So that's when I started.
But at the Waldorf, were you like,
yeah,
oh.
Yeah, that's like, maybe I'll just make it a great birthday and we figure out a nice time where it's sunnier and all that.
Yeah.
And so that's like, I mean, I don't know.
So basically, we go to bed the next day, and then you surprised me with the spa.
And she knew that we had a spa too. So let me share this because it's actually really funny. And we'll go in the spa. Because of that mindset, when we first walked in, we walked by the spa, and I was trying to plant the seed, just like, hey, tomorrow. This is when we first walked in. Mindset was not right. Gloomy, all that. We walked by the spa, and I was like, hey, we're gonna go do a full day spa tomorrow. And she's like, I don't want to be in no spa. Like, it's cold.
Come on.
I just want to be warm. And I was like, no, not even the spas were working.
Okay, now you're really making me sound crazy. All right.
And so next day, this is proposal day. All right.
June 1st.
June 1st.
My birthday.
We wake up. It's her beautiful birthday. Mind you, her mind says all birthday. So we're going to go to a spa. So I think we ordered like some fruit for the morning. It's amazing. Even though it's cloudy, that view was phenomenal. And so we go do a spa day, and it was just, I mean, like you were drooling on the massage.
Yeah, it was like the massage where they use the hot rocks. I could taste it right now.
We did the couples massage. We're in the same room, and mind you, we've had situations where we've been at the Ritz-Carlton. It was over in Orlando. It was crazy, and she had the worst massage experience.
You know how it is. It's a gamble. Sometimes
you wouldn't think so with the Ritz.
Well, that's standards, but like some of my best spots have been at hole-in-the-wall places.
So, but we go to the Ritz there, and it was the worst thing she's ever had. It was this whole it was terrible. So I'm in my head now, like, please God, do not let this be. So I'm like, I tell her, you remember this? I tell her right before when we're getting on the tables, I was like, hey, 5 minutes in, if I'm gonna ask you, babe, how you doing? And if you just say, okay, like I didn't want it to be too obvious, I'm gonna get up on this. Okay means that it's terrible. Okay.
We have codes for each other.
And if you say okay, I'm getting off this table because my woman, if she's great, I'm gonna tell them to switch. I'm gonna make sure that you're not going any further. Okay. She's like, all right. So we go about 10 minutes in because it was so good. And I was like, babe, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, drools. But no, that's a good tip, like for all couples, is to have code words.
Oh yeah, especially just knowing that. So I was like, okay, everything's working. Had a massage, we had facials, and I think you should probably share a little bit on your side here because this was.
Yeah. So then I'm like super chillaxed, like literally. I just went from going 100 miles per hour to basically like laying around like a little couch potato, and it was the best ever. And it was like, I felt like I was just like a floppy crappie. Like I just was, it's a fish in Minnesota. It's a crappie. But I felt like just so freaking, honestly, I could have just been in the bathrobe. Like all you had to do is rub my feet and bring me food. The rest of the night I'm prime. But you were like, no. Okay, we come back to the room and you're like, we have a dinner.
Well, we had a dinner, but I had to remind you.
But so you're like, you need to dress up, and so
not that it's even an issue when she dresses up to go to the bathroom. All right, let's be real.
So, but I just, you know how it is when you're crampy. I just did not like nothing. I just didn't feel like wearing anything. But I had this little dress to wear, and you were like, yeah, wear that. But then I was doing my hair, and he was like, well, how about your hair? Like, you should wear your hair.
No, I would not.
I
would not make a comment about your hair. I've learned my lesson.
You were super attentive.
I was attentive because you were asking, like, what do you think of my hair, up or down? I was like, oh, you should have it down. And she said, really? And I was like, because I want to make sure that she was looking good for the proposal in the way that she wanted it to be. But she, once again, she had no clue. So then that's when I think you were trying to figure out, like, well, maybe I should wear this dress or that dress. And the other dress just probably wouldn't have looked as good on camera in the sense. So I was like, no, wear that. And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, it looks great. It looked phenomenal. And then now it's this whole little thing. I was like, no, we're literally so close.
So finally we got the outfit, and then we go to get on this trolley to go down to, it's on a golf course, this place. And it was this dinner spot that I don't think
it's called.
You clearly didn't know it was casual.
Well,
It's like where golfers go after.
And
they
shout
golf.
out to Sarah on this, because
Yeah.
the plan is to do the beautiful beach proposal that was every girl's dreams. Once again, this is only my first time doing a proposal, so I'm just hearing whatever the people are saying. And this place is called the Monarch Bay Beach Club, and it's literally all on the ocean. Now, mind you, it doesn't look that great when it's all cloudy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the dress attire would be.
Yeah. So we get down there. There's no linens.
It was a club, like a golf club type of thing.
Which I'm all about that. I'm all about that life. But when you're like, oh, you need to be dressed.
Oh, she was way overdressed.
Yeah,
I was overdressed.
I was like, get me out of here. No one's even waiting on me.
So we get in there. Everyone once again knows the proposal's happening because I called in advance. The front people, they knew what we were coming down on the trolley, and we're not getting waited for like 10 minutes.
This doesn't happen.
But she opens the menu. And I was like, let me just see if there's some good fish, because she loves her good branzino sea bass. And there was like a fish sandwich type of thing, and that was it. And I'm like over here like, oh crap, how am I going to finagle this one? And so I could see it once again coming up on her face, but she was much more poised in the sense of just like, okay, like.
And meanwhile, I had no idea. He gets up from the table and he's like, let me handle this. And he's like on the phone in like the hallway of the restaurant or in the bar area. And he's over there, like, basically trying to get us to a different restaurant. I had no idea what was going on.
So that guy, Russell, I'm so glad he gave me his number just to say, if you need anything. I didn't think I would need his number. I'm like, oh, I got to hit up Russell. So I'm texting Russ over here, just making sure she doesn't see anything. But I'm like, hey, we need a spot at that restaurant we went to last night, Bourbon Steak, like ASAP. It's not working down here. We need it. And he's like, I'm going to go run over there. He literally ran over there, told him the situation.
At the resort, yeah.
This place is already always sold out the day of. And he's like, we got you the best seats in the house. Come over. And so I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I think we got it. But now I'm having to secretly text my camera crew, who was supposed to already be down at the beach. They were on their way. And I'm texting them saying, audible, stay at the hotel.
Aww.
I got to do the proposal up there. I'll find a way to tell you. I'm trying to just be super brief. So I'm like, we're out of here. We go back up on the trolley, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, where am I going to do it? The plan was down at the beach.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like I just...
the entire trolley ride.
And I have no idea at this point. I'm literally just like, I'm hungry again. Like it's blood sugar levels dropping. I'm hungry. And so we go to Bourbon and they put us in the most magical spot, like ocean view outside.
Right in the middle of the patio.
It's just gorgeous.
Looking
and
over.
It's a whole vibe. Like every bite you put in your mouth, it's drool worthy. And so we get a cocktail and, you know, again, it's my birthday now and I'm thinking I'm just at a birthday dinner. And this is my side of the story. Like I basically had to go to the bathroom and the bathroom is not in the restaurant. It's like you got to go out in the hotel. And so he was like, oh, I'll come with you. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess it's not that new because you're like super sweet and attentive. But I'm like, we're like just leaving the dinner table.
Well, the plan was, yes, the plan. So before that, I actually used the bathroom.
Yeah.
And it was right away.
That's what confused me.
And so I'm over here, mind you, I already planned out this entire thing with my camera crew, let alone when we got that penthouse, I planned it where one of the helpers would get access to our room to go in there, and I had them buy, I had them go to Trader Joe's and buy every single rose in there. They bought like 12 bundles.
There was red rose petals
and they literally
everywhere.
Plucked, like, God bless you for doing this. They literally plucked all the rose petals off because I tried buying fresh rose petals. They would have took like a week and it wasn't in time. And they plucked it all. So they're bringing it up to the room. So I'm making sure they get in the room in time. And they laid it out, which you'll see in the video, but they laid out a heart of that and moved all the carpet, all the things, put I had candles out.
Oh my gosh.
So they're lining that up. And then I'm texting my camera guys and I said, I'm going to come meet you real quick. I'm going to use the restroom. So I tell her, I was like, hey, I got to use the restroom. And so I walk out. I was gone probably for like 10 minutes because I see the camera guys. I'm like, where are we going to do this? And there was a big business convention happening. So there's 100 guys in suits, literally in the lobby right by the restaurant.
Where you would have wanted to propose.
In the main, it's the main balcony overlooking the ocean and the entire building.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't want a bunch of businessmen in our video. And I told him, we're gonna do it in the balcony. We're gonna come out here right before sunset. And can you just tell everyone to let them know that we're proposing? I was like, just please, hopefully they listen. So I come back and we talk, and I was like, hey, let's go do some photos for your birthday.
Well, I had to go to the bathroom.
And you had to go to the bathroom.
That's all I remember.
Let's line this up. And one of the ways, because remember, I have to sneak this ring from the room to the first restaurant into this restaurant. So I brought our nice camera to have as like a cop out, so I could put the ring and also a mic in there, just so we could hear what I'm saying and hear you. So I'm carrying this bag. I was like, okay, let's go do some photo shoots. So then we go out to the restroom, and that's when I walk you over there, and you go in the restroom, and then I go in the restroom, and Emily's just like, all right, we're gonna go do some photos. I'm over here 2 minutes before, thinking this is the biggest decision in my entire life. So I have my bag, I pull out the ring box, and I'm just like over here, just like, okay, where am I gonna put this? I have dress pants on. I'm not gonna put it in the front of my pants because it's literally gonna be bulging out and it's gonna be so obvious. Let me put it in the back pocket. The back pockets are sealed shut with sewed shut. I was like freaking out there. Like, I'm just sharing this because like this is like the reality of what happened.
Yeah.
I had to literally rip the back pocket so it could go in there. So I put it in there, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure she does not put her hand on my butt. Like, if she tries to, I'm gonna pull it right up because there's no way I'm gonna lose it now. And then I'm trying to mic, this is the craziest thing. I was trying to mic the situation so it was inside my dress shirt, but you couldn't see it because it'd be so obvious. So she probably thought I had like a stomach ache or something. I was in there for a while.
Right, I was like outside the bathroom like 5 minutes before.
I'm over here like freaking out, but also I was calm, but I was just not freaking out. I was making sure.
So you're nice and mic'd.
So then the last thing was that, I was like, I just want to share this. I don't want to rush this because in that moment, I was like, it's do or die in the sense. It was like, I'm going all in or I could cop out. And so I just sat there. I was looking in the mirror in the bathroom, and I did a prayer, and I prayed over us, and I prayed over our engagement. And I was like, it's time. And that's when the nerves started to kick in a little bit. After that, I was like pretty cool headed. So we walk out, and I'm like, puffed out chest, let's go do these photos. And we walk out to the balcony, and I see no businessmen there. I was like, oh my gosh, it actually worked. And what I did is I had 2 cameramen. This is where it got really sneaky. I had one placed out there right next to the balcony to be a random person, quote unquote, and the other one was hidden so he could get the footage. And so we walk out there, and this was intentional, and I already pre-planned them. We walked out, I was like, let's get some photos. And I saw the guy, he was like, hey. I was like, you look like, he had a camera. Literally, he had his big camera next to him. I was like, that wasn't supposed to be planned. Let's make sure she doesn't know. I was like, you look like a cameraman. Can you take some photos for us? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, of course he knew he was gonna. And so he started taking some photos, and the other guy's capturing the B-roll of us taking photos. And I told the camera guy to tell Emily, this is when the moment was gonna happen, to tell her like, hey, let's try some shots where you're like looking off to the distance.
To the distance. Which I was like, oh, he's so sweet. Like, he really cares about our photos, this bystander,
She's like, stop harassing him. She didn't know I was like actually knew him. And I was like, oh, let me see. And I'm over here once again, like really feeling the nerves. I'm looking at the photo to then go back and I was almost delaying the process in a sense because I was just getting a little nervous, and I was like, Jake, you just gotta just do it, like just.
Oh my god!
Like seriously, like because I was going over, I was like, how's that look? I was like, oh, let's try this and try that, and I shouldn't have done all that, but I did. And then that's when he was like, well, maybe you should kind of turn around. I was like, yeah, babe, like what if you turn around and look off, and I'm kind of like over here. I think that would look so cool. And then people are starting to whisper. They're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Because they knew it. And so she turned off to the side, looking off to the ocean. And I was like, this is what you got to do it, Jake. And so I go down on one knee, and you could share from there.
Yeah, well, I turned around and I'm like, you're down here. And my heart dropped, but it was like the best feeling ever because I'm like, it was registering like he's asking me to marry him right now. And you start talking and you gave the most beautiful speech.
You don't even remember what I said.
I don't, because I was so like...
I'm glad we got a mic,
It's
though.
an outer body experience. And I almost was like... I was doing like...
No, you were like, she was waving her hands like, no, right away.
Well, it was like, I don't even know what to do right now.
So she's waving. So literally when she turned, she was like, what are you doing? She was like, and I started to start my speech. I was practicing it in the bathroom. Yeah. But she was doing the no symbol. And I'm over here the moment. I know you weren't trying. I'm just sharing my side.
It's because I was like bawling. I was crying in front of all these people. Like it was like waterworks started to happen and I'm like, ah! You know what I mean? I couldn't control it. I just started crying.
And so
Tears of joy.
Literally while I'm saying this, I'm like, is she in my head? I kept going, but I was like, is she going to say not now? Or like, I knew you loved me and you want to get married, but is she going to say not now, not here type of thing? So that was the last moment of like a little bit of like fear I felt. But then after, as I said that, and we'll have to get the recording, but I basically said I've been on many stages and this is the biggest stage I've ever been on, and it's all around you. And this is a moment where I'm going to declare that I get to give my life and you give my life, your life to me, and will you marry me? And so I reached in my back pocket and made sure it was still in there because I ripped the pants and pulled out the ring
and I said yes.
And she said yes.
And then all of a sudden, like the video guy comes popping out.
The video guy comes popping out. Everyone applauses.
I mean, everyone's roaring. And then we basically did a video shoot right there, which was so cool. Meanwhile, like our apps are coming. Like it was so cool because it's like we ordered food.
I told them though, I was like, hey, we're gonna put in our food. But they already knew. I was
then we're going to go get engaged really quick.
I was like, until we get back, do not bring the steaks out. And they're like, we got you. And it was like 45 minutes later.
So then we had the most beautiful photo shoot. It was so magical. Yeah. And then we went and had the most beautiful dinner.
Oh, the dinner was amazing.
Oh, it had a blast. And then
you thought it was done from there.
Yeah, and then we went up to the room, and remember he had the million rose petals, and it was like all in this giant heart, and the music. Oh, I was on the phone with my mom.
Yeah, so she was on the phone with her mom.
We got locked out of the room.
So I knew this was the last surprise. She thought it was done. This was the big shebang. And so she's on her phone with her mom telling her, and
my mom's in Minnesota, so it's like late because it's Central Time, so it's 2 hours later.
And I called her mom beforehand to just get her approval.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And just because she's like the main one in your life, and I wanted to just still have her be part of that. And so I got approval, and she was so excited. And she was like, make sure she calls me when it happens. So she's on the phone while I'm having security bring up our new card. For whatever reason, got locked out. I was like, oh great. And so she's like all excited, sharing it. And I'm like, okay, I'm basically getting ready to video her. And we open the door, all the lights are shut off, and she's walking in and she sees, and it's a giant heart in front of the fireplace, which worked out so perfect with the penthouse, of roses. And there was all these like little candles all around. And all I heard was her say, oh, Mom, I got to call you back. And she's like, what?
No, I go, I feel like I'm on MTV Cribs or something. I was like, joking around with her.
But you're like, I gotta call you back. Because I wanted to have the moment. Yeah. And she was like, what's going on?
Yeah. And then we danced and had the most gorgeous time. It was so beautiful. And
we danced in the roses.
Celebrated, and now we're engaged.
Oh
my gosh. And so as of this recording, it's literally almost 2 months ago to the day. Mm-hmm. And I'm so happy and I'm ready to be married.
So when are we getting married?
We both feel that we want to get married soon, and we don't feel the need to have a long engagement. And we also really want a wedding ceremony that is really about us and God, and it's not about a bunch of other things. And again, we're not poo-pooing that. It's just for us, we live a very public life, and for me, I just don't want to get caught up in other things such as napkins or who's there and who's not there. these are things girls think about, and listen, I love, like, listen, we have events. I love all that stuff, but I really just want it to be so intimate. And so we'll do it up pretty soon, right? We don't have the exact date, or maybe we do. Maybe you'll just find out on social media.
We might.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about our decision and having a smaller wedding?
Oh, I mean, as long as Hugo's invited.
As long as Hughie's invited.
he's over here wanting to be part of this interview. But yeah, no, look, if I propose to you, it's because I want to get married to you. And marriage to me really is just... Yeah,
what is it?
It's an ordained experience to be fully connected and committed. Not just, we're already connected and committed, but through the spiritual side with God as the center. And so, like, I already feel like I'm married to you, but I do know that there is a spiritual side of having that officially be locked in. It's not about the paperwork. It's about the ceremony, right? It's very ceremonial. It's very spiritual in that sense.
Yay!
And so I think that'll be happening soon.
That's going to be happening soon, and I'm so blessed. And thank you for sharing your perspective from a man's mind. And what would you do, and what would you say? What are you thinking now as you prepare to get married? Like, how are you doing anything for your mindset in that way, or?
Yeah, I started listening to more things around it. Like, I was listening to a panel with like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and all these, people of faith and different backgrounds, but they were talking about like the keys to successful marriage and just the fact of the way you just hearing. It's not about always hearing the intellectual things. It's about hearing the real stories that have intellectual property within it that makes more sense. So hearing from people that actually walk the walk, that's going to be very important for me. But like, yeah, I'm going to be diving into more books and things that are related to that, because just like how much of the personal development has helped me to obtain and sustain you originally, to understand the masculine feminine balance, to understand how to be unshakable in the pillar, so you don't see me falling. I also need that type of next level knowledge to be able to sustain you as a wife and sustain the family dynamic, whether there's a kid involved or not. We still have a little furry kid, but there is that greater responsibility that I feel. So I feel like this will be a everlasting journey that we could bring people on, especially as we hit new levels.
Amen. That's so well said. I'm so blessed by you and blessed by you listening right now, and how you've supported our relationship, whether you've been a long time listener or if you're brand new now, you have a little bit of introspection, I would hope, into our relationship. And it's so special having you on here, because, when you have a strong man in your life, it allows you as a purposeful woman to really step more into your purpose. And I just feel so much more calm and supported. And so, you listening, you support me in so many ways and help me to step into my purpose. But I'm able to do that even more so because I have you, Jake. So it's like it all plays together. And for any of our single friends listening, never settle and get really clear on who and what you want. And if you're in an existing relationship or a marriage, it's never too late to set better standards. It's never too late to recommit. It's never too late to, put God into the relationship even more if they haven't, right? And we hope that for everybody listening, that maybe this just makes you eager to fall in love again, or, to really appreciate what you have. Yeah.
So beautifully said.
Yeah. This has been so amazing. So stay tuned. and send us any messages. We'd love to know what resonated with you the most on this episode, and keep up with us because we are heading to Europe here to do a massive speaking event together. Multiple events.
It's a whole tour.
Yeah, we're in Poland.
Little staycation in Italy really quick.
Yes.
And then we have another big event we're speaking at in London.
Yes, where we're training on personal branding and influence and sales.
If you thought she was great by herself, or maybe you thought I was great by myself, imagine when there's that dynamic together. And we get to have the rest of our life to build that.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun journey.
So we hope you can be part of that journey. So stay connected, shoot us that message. We'd love to hear it, especially it's such a sensitive and vulnerable topic to us in this way, because it's our love, and we're grateful to be able to share that with you, and we just hope that it only empowers the love that you feel or can feel and will feel, and that's our greatest message here today. So
Amen. All right, love you guys.
God bless.